25 years ago, Bjorn Duphot could not have known exactly what the finished picture would become. What he knew was simpler and, perhaps, far more important, he had something to say. And he was willing to spend his life becoming capable of saying it entirely on his own terms. What followed was never going to fit neatly inside the boundaries of one career. It became an entire creative world. Bjorn became a recording artist, songwriter, and producer, building a catalogue of music that would eventually travel around the world and accumulate millions of streams. His body of work includes the acclaimed album Billion Dollar Voice and his viral song Stoic, among a catalogue created outside the conventional machinery of the music industry. Eventually, even traditional descriptions of genre became too restrictive for what he was creating, so he gave his sound its own language, French twist. That tells you something essential about Bjorn. When the existing vocabulary cannot adequately describe what he sees, he creates new vocabulary. He wrote. He photographed. He modeled. He designed. He created books, philosophy, visual art, and fashion. He transformed lived experience into mentorship, teaching other creatives about independence, intellectual ownership, and the importance of knowing who they are before an industry, an audience, or another human being attempts to decide it for them. And then came the Queen of Shade. What began with a man speaking became something much larger. In 2015, Bjorn's monologues began exploding across the internet. His thoughts on self-worth, destiny, heartbreak, love, independence, and personal power resonated with people around the world. His voice possessed that rare quality of addressing millions while somehow making one person listening alone feel as though he was speaking directly to them. But 2015 was not his only viral chapter. In 2018, the Queen of Shade went viral again. This time, the scale was extraordinary. Over the course of a single year, Bjorn's work amassed 21,422,339 likes on Instagram, reaffirming that what had happened years earlier was not simply a fleeting viral moment. The audience had returned, and grown. Then music and monologue collided. His song Stoic attracted attention in the United Kingdom, where the London Examiner published a feature titled The Queen of Shade is Back. The article revisited the phenomenon Bjorn had created online, those powerful monologues that encouraged people, challenged them, uplifted them and, perhaps most importantly, gave language to people who felt they did not possess a voice of their own. That was always one of the Queen of Shade's greatest powers. Bjorn did not simply speak to people. For many, he spoke through them. He articulated the sentence someone had been afraid to say. He named the boundary someone had been afraid to establish. He gave language to dignity, heartbreak, survival, self-respect, and independence in a way that allowed people to recognize their own lives inside his words. And when the London Examiner turned its attention to his song Stoic and the man behind the Queen of Shade, that international exposure introduced another audience to his music. Millions of streams followed across his catalogue. It was a remarkable convergence. The spoken voice that had made him internationally recognizable was now opening doors for the singing voice he had spent 33 years developing. Yet even that was not the destination. Virality was never the destination. Ownership was. And so he continued building. The Queen of Shade Entertainment became the umbrella beneath which a much larger creative architecture could exist. The Queen of Shade model management extended his vision into talent development. Fashion and couture gave his imagination a body. Photography gave it an image. Writing gave it permanence. Music gave it a pulse. And the Queen of Shade magazine became the place where all of those languages could finally speak to one another. That is the extraordinary thing about looking at Bjorn Duphot's work after 25 years. It is tempting to call it a resume. It isn't. It is an ecosystem. The chapters that may once have appeared unrelated were quietly preparing him for one another. Modeling taught him image. Music taught him emotion. Writing taught him precision. Photography taught him perspective. Entrepreneurship taught him ownership. Mentorship taught him responsibility. The internet taught him reach. And life taught him endurance. There is something deeply moving about realizing that Bjorn did not spend 25 years attempting to become exceptionally successful at one thing. He spent 25 years becoming the person capable of building all of it. There is an enormous difference. Because when you admire Bjorn Duphot, it is easy to point toward the evidence, the albums, the books, the photographs, the fashion, the millions of streams, 21,422,339 Instagram likes, 2 separate eras of viral recognition, the businesses, the philosophy, the magazine, and the audience that has carried his words across countries and years. But none of those things, individually, explain him. The remarkable achievement is the architecture beneath them. After a quarter-century of creation, you can place the seemingly disparate pieces beside one another and discover that they were never disparate at all. The young model learning the language of an image. The musician learning how emotion moves through sound. The writer discovering the precision of language. The photographer learning how to frame a vision. The entrepreneur learning the necessity of ownership. The Queen of Shade learning that one human voice, when used courageously enough, could become a voice for millions. They were all becoming the same man. Look closely enough and you will recognize him everywhere. In the photograph. In the sentence. In the garment. In the melody. In the philosophy. In the business. In the magazine. 25 years later, across an extraordinary body of work, there remains an unmistakable creative fingerprint. The same mind. The same voice. The same hand. The same vision. And perhaps that is the clearest definition of an artist. Not someone who merely creates things, but someone whose vision becomes so distinct that eventually, an entire world begins to bear their signature.